Hi everyone, so glad you could be with me. I'm a little bit of a different location at the moment. I'm on sort of holidays, just taking some time out and spending some time with the grandchildren on the Gold Coast. So, which for those of you that don't know, is the lower part, southern part of Queensland. And where it is raining and terrible elsewhere, today is quite sunny and 22 degrees and not looking too bad given that yesterday was pissing down with rain. So, here we are. Here I am enjoying the life, the good life. But today I want to talk about Sky News and the terrible, disgusting things that they're doing in relation to defence. Now, I've talked about this before, but it interests me about their obsession on defence. So they've put out a whole host of after dark commentators providing their opinion about where we sit in relation to defence issues, and I just thought it might be interesting just to share with you some of the crazy, bizarre, stupid, irresponsible, um, indescribable ways by which they think defence is an issue. One of the things why I think defence is such a pain in the ass is because, and I do need to say this, one of the real key issues to me is that if you're going to spend all this extra money on defence in out of a pot that is limited, in other words, taxpayers' money, what is it that you plan to cut? Because you have to cut something in order to pay for defence. So the question is, what is going to be cut? Who knows? Because no one ever talks about it. It's always about, let's increase it to 3% or whatever. Let's do what Donald Trump wants us to do because for some reason he's greater than God. But I just think you've got to get your act together and understand if you're going to spend this money on defence, where you're going to spend it. And one of the other issues that we have here in Australia is we can't find enough young people, or old people for that matter, enough people who want to join the defence forces. We don't have a massive population. So, we're only 27 million people. So finding people to actually fill the positions is a real challenge. But nevertheless, it's an issue. And so I'm going to play to you a couple of arguments that are presented by Sky News, because for some reason Murdoch Press believes that defence is the key issue in the world because we're under attack from the Chinese or from somebody else. So we're not. That is a moot issue. And I'm wondering whether there's a bit of moral panic happening around this particular issue as well. But here's what's some of the comments being made on Sky News just to I guess just enlighten your day.
Well, as Foreign Minister Penny Wong prepares to head to Washington, I'm joined by Foreign Editor for The Australian, Greg Sheridan. Greg, good evening and thanks for being with me. How would you describe the Albanese government's relationship with the Trump administration at this point right now?
Oh, James, good to be with you. Look, it's pretty frosty. The Albanese government's arguments on defence spending are just ridiculous. They're utterly ludicrous. They don't make any sense to anybody. Even friends of the government like Stephen Conroy can't defend them. We spend 2%, not 2.3%. We spend 2% of GDP on defence. We spend 2% of GDP on defence.
I do have to say that the thing that fascinates me about these guys is that it's almost like they want to have a fight. There's nothing that would excite them more than the government choosing to have a battle or being invaded by another country. This is kind of what they want. This is their thing. This is what gets them up in the morning. This is what causes them to, have an erection, I guess. So this is the sort of thing that I query, because I just don't know where this stuff's coming from. Because at the end of the day, they don't seem to be making all that much sense about it anyway.
First came to office, he said to me in an interview that he would raise it beyond 2% if that was necessary. Since then, we've had report after report, government statement after government statement, that these are the most dangerous strategic circumstances we've faced since World War II. We've also embarked on the massively expensive project of acquiring nuclear.
And I think this is part of the moral panic thing, because I don't necessarily understand where that notion has come from, that we're kind of in peril at this particular point. We've had those ships, the Chinese ships surrounding our, going around our board, our coastline. But apart from that, there's been no fantastic. There hasn't been an invasion. It doesn't look like there's going to be an invasion. So let me know in the comment section below, where do you think these guys are coming from in relation to this stuff?
Now, the dollar amount of our defence budget has gone up because of inflation, and so everything is at a record high spend in dollar terms, NDIS, everything you like. But the real increase in defence spending has been extremely small, and we have not produced anything like the range of capabilities we said we would produce in the Defence Strategic Review.
Now, I think there isn't. I'll let Greg Sheridan go because he's bloody boring. But there is an argument, I guess, that says that we could be doing something technologically, in order to prove our technical capabilities. We've done that recently with the over-the-horizon radar system that we've sold to Canada. So we have that capability. So I guess we could be doing something like that. In terms of manpower, in terms of buying equipment and machinery, what the hell are we going to do with it anyway? And whenever we do buy stuff, we always seem to buy it and it seems to be outdated before it even lands in our country. So I don't get that either. But the other thing too that excites me is that Sharry Markson gets my friend Angus Taylor on board, because Angus knows all about this stuff. And you've got to ask yourself, where in the hell were the Liberal Party when all this was this never an issue? It just seems to be an issue now because Labor's in power. Like, what's the real story here? Anyway, let's have a listen to my friend, my buddy, my mate. The person I admire less than anybody else in the world is Sharry Markson.
Coming up, but now let's bring in Shadow Defence Minister Angus Taylor. Angus, thank you very much for your time. Now, if you were the Defence Minister, would you agree to lift our defence spend to 3.5% of GDP within 10 years?
Well, Sharry, thanks for having me. And we absolutely need to increase our defence expenditure. And of course, during the election campaign, we announced going to at least 3%. And we've
so again, my point is, why didn't you do that initially? Like, why haven't you done that over the last 9-10 years? Well, give or take 3 years when the Labor Party were in power. So when you're in power, Angus, why didn't your government do it? Why does it become an issue right now?
We need to do that because we're living in a dangerous and uncertain time where authoritarian regimes are flexing their muscles, whether it's in Russia, whether it's Iran, directly attacking Israel or through proxies, of course, or whether it's the military build-up from the Chinese Communist Party. And all of these things mean, in the words of the Prime Minister, Sharry, that we are facing the most uncertain time since Second World War. And we need to take appropriate action. 2% of GDP is simply not enough. The government's own Defence Strategic Review...
So the point is, it's not enough now. And it only seems to me that Sky News and the Liberal Party have got no other issues that they can face. Whatever happened just to the cost of living and housing. I mean, obviously they're not as sexy as defence. So hence all the arguments seem to be now around defence. So what's that really all about? So let me know what you think. Should we get rid of NDIS? Should we get rid of welfare payments? Should we just dispense with housing? Should we dispense with issues around climate change? What has to come off the agenda in order to put more money in defence so these guys can feel better about themselves? I don't get it. Anyway, let me know. Put a comment in the comment section below. Remember to subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell for further notifications. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, for you and your family, be safe.